There's been a really interesting shift happening in the sexual wellness world lately, and honestly, it's been fascinating to watch it evolve over time.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. For years, when people heard the term sexual wellness or even just sex industry, their minds would immediately jump to a very narrow set of products, mainly things like vibrators, dildos, strokers, and similar toys.
Exactly. And to be fair, those products have always existed, and they absolutely still have their place. They're fun, they're popular, and for many people, they're part of their personal experience of pleasure and exploration.
But what's changing now is the bigger picture. It's no longer just about stimulation or quick pleasure. The focus is expanding into something much more holistic, more like overall intimate health and daily care.
That's the key word, holistic. We're starting to see a shift from how do I get pleasure quickly to how do I take care of my body so that pleasure, comfort, and confidence can exist naturally and sustainably.
And that includes parts of the body that for a long time weren't really discussed openly. There's been a real gap in education when it comes to understanding intimate anatomy and how to care for it properly.
Right. People are often taught very little about how their bodies actually work in these areas. In many places, sex education is either limited or overly basic. So people grow up knowing what things are, but not how to care for them or understand them properly.
And that's why this new wave of sexual wellness products is so interesting. We're now seeing things designed not just for pleasure, but for comfort, hydration, hygiene, and overall intimate well-being.
Yes, things like gentle cleansers, nourishing oils, soothing creams, pelvic floor support tools, and even postpartum care products. These are being framed less as taboo items and more as part of everyday self-care routines.
It's almost like the language has changed completely. Instead of secrecy and embarrassment, the conversation is moving toward wellness, confidence, and normalizing care for intimate health.
And that shift is huge because when you think about it, we already have skincare routines for our face, hair care routines for our scalp, and fitness routines for our bodies. So why wouldn't intimate health also deserve attention and care?
That's a great point. It reframes the whole idea. It's not just about sexual activity, it's about the parts of the body that contribute to comfort, sensation, and overall well-being in everyday life.
Exactly. And this is where education becomes really important. People are beginning to realize that understanding your body isn't just useful, it's essential for long-term health and confidence.
I've also noticed that the industry itself has changed its branding. A few years ago, everything felt very exaggerated or novelty-based, almost like party-themed products.
Yes, very flashy, very bachelorette party style marketing, bright colors, jokes, and often a lot of stigma hidden behind humor.
But now, the aesthetic is much more minimal, clean, and wellness-focused. It feels closer to skincare or health brands rather than something hidden in the back of a drawer.
And that reflects a deeper cultural shift. Sexual wellness is being recognized as part of overall health, not something separate or shameful.
I recently read that the sexual wellness industry is now worth tens of billions of dollars globally, and it's expected to grow significantly in the coming years.
That growth isn't just coming from traditional products either. It includes lubricants, intimate washes, pelvic care tools, supplements, and even educational resources.
What's interesting is how it's all being framed differently now. It's no longer, don't talk about this, but instead, this is part of your health, and you deserve to understand it.
And that's why this shift really matters. It's changing how people think about their bodies, especially their intimate areas, not as something awkward or hidden, but as something worth caring for.
Ultimately, it's about normalizing the idea that sexual wellness is just wellness. No separation, no stigma, just another part of taking care of yourself.
And if this continues, we might see a future where conversations about intimate health feel as normal as talking about skincare or nutrition. We meditate, we journal, we do breath work, and now we're finally starting to add intimacy into that same self-care list. Because honestly, our intimate parts deserve care too, just like every other part of the body.
That's such an important shift. We've normalized things like skincare, dental care, fitness, and mental wellness practices, but for a long time, intimate health was left out of that conversation completely.
Exactly. We wash our face every day, we brush our teeth, we take care of our hair and skin. But what about the rest of our body, especially the parts that are deeply connected to comfort, confidence, and pleasure? They need care too, not just during sexual activity, but as part of everyday wellness.
And that's where education comes in. With sexual education improving and more people learning about their bodies through social media, online resources, and platforms like YouTube, there's a growing awareness that intimate health is just as important as anything else.
I've noticed that in my own learning journey too. As someone studying sexual education, I've been learning things about my body over the past couple of years that I never learned in my entire life before. And honestly, it's been eye-opening.
That's a very common experience. Many people are only now discovering information about their own bodies that should have been taught much earlier, so it makes sense that there's a growing demand for better education and better tools.
And speaking of tools, I recently came across a brand that I think represents this shift really beautifully. I'm not saying I'm biased, although maybe just a little bit because they're from Quebec, and yes, I'm from Quebec too.
That might explain it just a little.
Maybe, but what stood out to me is how they're changing the way intimate care is positioned. Instead of being something hidden away or treated as taboo, they're bringing it into the same category as everyday wellness and self-care.
So more like skincare and wellness routines rather than something secretive or awkward.
Exactly. Their products feel intentional, gentle, nourishing, and very simple. It's less about shock value and more like a spa-like ritual. When I first saw them in a local shop, I honestly thought I was looking at skincare products at first.
That kind of confusion actually says a lot about how the industry is changing. The line between beauty care and intimate care is becoming much softer.
Yes, and I was curious, so I started exploring their products more. I already enjoy skincare and body care routines, so seeing that same kind of approach applied to intimate wellness really caught my attention.
What kind of products are we talking about here?
Things like melt massage and bath oils, which are designed to feel relaxing and nourishing for the body. I've actually tried one before, and it felt very soothing, almost like a spa experience at home.
So it's not just functional, it's also about comfort and relaxation.
Exactly. Then there are things like shaving primers and aftercare products. And when I say shaving, I don't just mean general grooming. I'm also talking about more sensitive areas that need gentle, irritation-free care.
That's where formulation really matters. Fragrance-free, sensitive skin-friendly products designed to reduce irritation.
Yes, and they really emphasize that. There are also things like intimate tonic gels, herbal bath oils, and bath salts with natural ingredients like eucalyptus, peppermint, pine, and spruce.
That sounds very spa-inspired, almost like bringing a Nordic wellness experience into your bathroom.
Exactly. And then there are things like balance mists, which I was honestly curious about at first.
What does a balance mist do?
It's basically a refreshing mist designed to hydrate and support the skin's natural balance. It can help neutralize odor naturally and is meant for areas like underarms, skin folds, or intimate areas, especially after workouts or physical activity.
So it's more about freshness and comfort throughout the day, not just after bathing.
Yes, exactly. I even tried smelling it, and it had this light peppermint-like scent, very fresh and clean, not overpowering at all.
That fits with the broader trend we've been talking about, intimate care becoming part of everyday wellness routines instead of something hidden or stigmatized.
And then there are even simple lifestyle products too, like candles. Because when we talk about wellness, it's not just physical, it's also about atmosphere, relaxation, and creating a calming environment.
So the whole experience becomes more holistic, not just products but rituals that support overall well-being.
Exactly. It's about changing how we think. Intimate care is not something separate or embarrassing. It's just another part of taking care of ourselves. Whether it's sexual, physical health, mental well-being, or emotional balance, candles really do play a role in all of it. But what's interesting now is that we're not just talking about ordinary candles anymore. We're talking about massage candles.
Right, and that's a key distinction.
A traditional candle is just for atmosphere, but a massage candle is designed differently. When you light it, the wax melts into warm oil instead of burning like regular wax. That melted oil can actually be safely poured onto the skin and used for massage.
Exactly. It turns something simple into a sensory experience, something that helps you relax, slow down, and reconnect with your body. And a lot of these products, including those from brands like Peach and Cream, aren't even focused only on sex itself. Many of them are actually centered around what we could call foreplay, or more broadly, body preparation and relaxation.
That's an interesting way to frame it. And it reminds me of something Esther Perel has talked about, that intimacy and anticipation are not limited to the moment something begins, but actually extend throughout the entire emotional and physical experience surrounding it.
Yes, exactly. And when I say foreplay here, I don't just mean sexual activity. I'm talking about anything that helps you feel grounded, calm, and comfortable in your body. Things like warm baths, bath salts, gentle oils, calming environments, and slow, intentional self-care rituals.
So it's really about preparation, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well.
Yes, because when your body's relaxed, when your mind is calm, and when you feel safe in your own space, you're naturally more open to experiencing pleasure in a healthy way. Even simple things like dim lighting, soft music, or a calming mist in the room can completely change how your body feels.
And some of these products are designed exactly for that. Things like balance mists or calming sprays that help create a more comfortable environment. It's less about enhancement in a dramatic sense and more about supporting your natural state of relaxation.
Right, and I think this is where the bigger conversation becomes really important. So many people grow up without any real education about how to care for intimate areas of the body. We learn how to wash our face, brush our teeth, and maintain basic hygiene, but not how to care for the parts of our body that are connected to pleasure, comfort, and confidence.
That gap in education has existed for a long time, and because of that, many people only start learning about intimate care much later in life, often through personal experience rather than formal education.
Exactly. So when I see a local Quebec brand bringing this kind of conversation into the open, I find it really meaningful. It normalizes something that has historically been treated as taboo or hidden away.
But I also think it's important to clarify something here. This isn't about encouraging people to buy more products or turning intimacy into a consumer pressure.
Yes, absolutely. That's very important. This is not a you need to buy things to be okay message. It's about education, awareness, and understanding your body better so you can make informed choices.
Because at the end of the day, many people already have what they need. Pleasure doesn't depend on having specific products.
Exactly. But what I've learned through studying sexual education, talking to experts, and my own personal experience is that when people do take time to care for themselves intentionally, it often has a positive ripple effect.
In what way?
It can affect stress levels, confidence, emotional well-being, and even relationships. When you take care of your body and give yourself moments of comfort and attention, you often feel more grounded overall.
That makes sense. Self-care tends to influence multiple areas of life, not just the one you're focusing on directly.
Yes, and I also want to be honest, I don't do all of this perfectly either. There are many times when I know I should take more time for myself, but I don't, just because I'm tired or not in the mood. That's normal.
That honesty is important because it shows this isn't about perfection. It's about awareness and intention when you can manage it.
Exactly, and I think it's especially important to say that to everyone watching. I know a large part of the audience is male as well, and I want to encourage everyone, regardless of gender, to think about their own self-care routines.
Most people already have some kind of routine without even realizing it, whether it's skincare, hair care, or hygiene habits. Extending that mindset to intimate wellness is really just an expansion of what already exists.
Yes, and again, this conversation isn't about consumerism. It's not about saying you need more products in your life. It's about giving you knowledge and awareness so you can make informed choices that actually support your body, your comfort, and your overall well-being.
Because ultimately, informed choice is the goal, not pressure.
Exactly. And I do want to acknowledge the brands that are helping shift this conversation forward, especially those making intimate wellness feel more natural, approachable, and connected to everyday self-care. And if you're interested in any of these products, you can usually find links in the description below the video, sometimes with discounts like 15% off, often positioned as gift-friendly options as well.
That's very common in this space now. A lot of brands are integrating e-commerce directly into educational content, which is part of how the sexual wellness industry has become more normalized and commercially visible.
Exactly. But moving on, there's another brand that really helped me understand this shift more deeply, Tenga. Many people already know them for their male pleasure products, especially the well-known Tenga cup.
Right. They've had a strong presence in that category for years.
Yes, but what I didn't fully realize until I learned more, especially after visiting Japan, is that they also have a much broader side called Tenga Healthcare, and that's where things become really interesting.
Because it moves beyond the idea of products as stimulation devices and into the realm of education and functional health support.
Exactly. Instead of focusing only on pleasure or novelty, they're focusing on understanding the body, building awareness, and improving sexual health outcomes. For example, they've developed structured systems like the Men's Training Cup series, which follows a step-by-step progression designed to help with awareness, control, and stamina.
So it's almost like a training or rehabilitation model rather than a toy-based approach.
Yes, very much so, and it's been discussed in relation to real concerns like premature ejaculation, delayed ejaculation, and general sexual performance awareness. The framing is very clinical and supportive rather than recreational or taboo.
That shift in tone is significant. It changes how users perceive the product from something hidden or stigmatized to something closer to a personal health tool.
Exactly. And beyond that, their healthcare platform organizes products based on real-life needs rather than just categories like male or female pleasure. They address things like pain during intercourse, libido support, ejaculation control, and even preconception care.
So the focus is clearly on sexual health as a medical and well-being related subject, not just entertainment or adult products.
Yes, and they also have a care line called Iroha, which is specifically designed for vulva care. It's very gentle, very thoughtfully formulated, and focuses on maintaining comfort, balance, and hydration.
That includes things like cleansers, lotions, and refreshing mists, basically expanding the idea of intimate skincare into a more everyday wellness routine.
Exactly. It's very similar to what we see in skincare for the face or body, but applied to intimate areas with the same level of care and consideration.
And I think that's the bigger theme here again, normalization. Not treating intimate health as something separate or awkward, but as part of overall bodily care.
Yes, and while we're on the topic of Japan, I also want to mention that there's often a lot of deeper cultural context behind how sexual wellness and intimacy are discussed there. I've shared some behind-the-scenes travel reflections and more sensitive topics on platforms like Patreon, where I can go into more depth than mainstream platforms allow.
That's often where creators can explore more nuanced or complex conversations that don't always fit into short-form or public content spaces.
Exactly. And I also have longer, more relaxed travel-style content, where the focus is less on talking and more on atmosphere, scenery, music, and everyday moments from different places around the world.
So different formats for different kinds of learning and experience.
Yes. But coming back to the main point, the sexual wellness shift, it's important because it reframes pleasure as part of health rather than something separate or hidden.
And that reframing has wide effects. It influences physical comfort, emotional well-being, confidence, communication in relationships, and even how people understand their own bodies.
Exactly. Sexual wellness isn't isolated. It connects to many aspects of overall health, including mental and emotional states, hormonal balance, and interpersonal connection.
And there is research supporting that connection. Studies, including work published in journals like the Journal of Sex Research, have shown links between sexual satisfaction and overall well-being.
Which honestly makes intuitive sense as well. When people feel more comfortable and confident in their bodies, it often reflects positively in many other areas of life.
And as stigma decreases, communication tends to improve, which can strengthen relationships and lead to healthier, more open experiences overall.
Exactly. That's why this shift in branding and messaging matters so much. When companies like Peach and Cream or Tenga frame their products around care, education, and well-being instead of shame, it's not just marketing, it reflects a broader cultural change.
In other words, it's not only about selling products, it's about changing how society talks and understands sexual health.
They're now openly talking about things like vaginal dryness, pelvic pain, erectile health, and menopause, topics that not too long ago were rarely discussed in public spaces.
Yes, and that's a significant shift in how sexual wellness is being framed. It's no longer just about pleasure products. It's increasingly about addressing real health concerns across different life stages.
Exactly. For example, brands like Peach and Cream even create products like vulva bombs, sometimes called things like lips, which are designed specifically to help with vaginal dryness and overall intimate comfort.
So instead of being seen as novelty items, these are positioned more like functional care products.
Yes, I actually have one here. It's packaged in a really soft, approachable way. The texture is gentle, and it's made with ingredients like jojoba oil, castor oil, and other naturally derived components. It feels much closer to skincare or apothecary-style wellness than anything traditionally associated with sexual products.
And that visual and sensory design matters because it changes how people emotionally respond to the idea of using it. It feels less intimidating and more like self-care.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is how much the conversation has changed. These topics used to be whispered about, if they were discussed at all, but now they're becoming part of mainstream wellness culture.
That shift is important. It reflects a broader cultural movement where intimate health is no longer hidden or stigmatized, but openly acknowledged as part of everyday well-being.
And this new wave of sexual wellness is also expanding who these products are designed for. It's no longer just centered around young heterosexual couples.
Right. We're now seeing much more inclusivity in both design and marketing.
Exactly. Older adults, queer and trans individuals, people with disabilities, and people with diverse bodies and needs are finally being considered in product development and education.
Which makes sense because intimacy and comfort are not limited to one age group or one type of relationship.
Yes, everyone deserves access to comfort, intimacy, and pleasure in a way that fits their body and their life, and the industry is slowly starting to reflect that reality.
And when you think about it, talking about intimate health shouldn't really be seen as radical. It's just another part of healthcare and self-care.
Exactly. It's the same body we've always had, just different areas that deserve the same level of attention and respect as any other.
So whether it's Peach and Cream, Tenga, or any other wellness-focused brand, the idea is the same. These products can be part of a self-care routine if they genuinely support your well-being.
Yes, and at the core of it, the message is simple. We all deserve to feel good, in our bodies, in our relationships, and in our own skin.
And that includes removing shame from the conversation and replacing it with education, comfort, and informed choice.
I've even noticed a personal shift in how people are using these kinds of products. Some people are starting to give them as gifts, not in a forced way, but as thoughtful care packages.
That's interesting because gifting in this space used to feel very taboo or uncomfortable socially.
Exactly. But now people are more open. I've personally seen people put together small, intimate wellness kits, things like bath oils, massage candles, and relaxation products as gifts for friends.
And that also reflects changing attitudes. People are less embarrassed to talk about these products and more curious about learning what they actually do.
Yes, and honestly, a lot of people wouldn't naturally walk into a shop and explore these items themselves. So when someone introduces them in a gentle, educational way, it opens up a new level of awareness.
And it's important to emphasize that this isn't limited to couples or partnered relationships either.
Exactly. Even people who are single can engage in self-care and self-pleasure in healthy, intentional ways. Things like massage oils, bath rituals, candles, and relaxation tools can all be part of that experience.
At the end of the day, it's about connection with yourself and with your body, not just sexual activity.
Yes, and I'm genuinely excited about where this industry is heading. There's more education, more research, more openness, and more focus on long-term well-being rather than just short-term products.
That also means better conversations overall about health, relationships, and communication.
Exactly. And I'm curious too, when you hear intimate wellness, what does it mean to you? Comfort, confidence, connection? Everyone experiences it differently.
And that's the point. It's personal. There isn't one correct definition.
For me, it's also about small daily habits. For example, I personally like using body oils after showering. It's a simple ritual, but it makes me feel more connected to my body and more comfortable in my skin.
Those small rituals often have a bigger psychological impact than people realize.
Yes, and in relationships too, I've been exploring the idea of slowing things down, like giving massages, using lighting and candles, and focusing on touch without always expecting it to lead to sex or orgasm.
That removes pressure from the experience and allows intimacy to be more exploratory rather than goal-oriented.
Exactly. And that shift alone can make a huge difference in how people experience pleasure and connection.
So overall, what we're seeing is a cultural transition from secrecy and stigma to openness, care, and intentional well-being.
Yes, and I think that's something worth exploring, reflecting on, and maybe even incorporating into your own life in whatever way feels right for you.